Hey everybody, John the Phone Guy here. Thought I'd pop up a live show for everyone that was in quarantine and everything else. We just got the shelter in place notification for our town this afternoon, so just thought I'd see what everyone was up to, what everyone's kind of thoughts and where everyone's at. Vic is in the house. What's up, buddy? Hey, I'm using a different audio source. How does it sound? Is it picking up good? Is there any echo? Just let me know. So, but anyway, so thought I'd just kind of get on here, see what everyone wanted to talk about. Okay, cool. So as I've said before, my company, we converted everyone to a work from home scenario. It's been fairly positive, a few glitches here and again, but overall it's worked out well. I know the impact. Our daughter got laid off because of the corona, so I can easily understand everyone's anxiety around all of this. I'm hoping that we get a treatment process in place, and we also get a.
Can you move the pillows on the bench?
Yes. I did. Sorry, everyone. Hold on. Sorry, everyone. Had some Rick in the house. What's up, buddy? What's going on? Had a couple questions here. Hold on a second. I told James from Invicta Vets I was gonna let him know. So, but yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I've got the Magnum on, one of the early versions of the Magnum in the Hydro Dipped. Not technically, I don't think this was called a. I don't think we referred to it as the graffiti. It's not a full blown graffiti from that standpoint, but it does have some unique colorations to it. I love the dial on it with the blue, green, red, yellow. It's a pretty unique looking watch. So that's what I got on today. That was my walk around the neighborhood watch. So thought I'd just throw that back on for now. Um, it's amazing how many people. Wow, take 5%. 5% for what? What do they? What do they? That doesn't make any sense. They're taking 5% out of your pay starting this week for just because. I mean that. I don't know. That seems kind of odd. Sorry about that. So, but yeah, and I was gonna say walking around like I know we're all supposed to be social distancing ourselves, and I try and like when I come upon a family or something that's walking on the sidewalk and whatnot, I try and move out of people's way so that we can kind of keep some separation. But it's amazing. Uh, uh, okay, seems a bit. Sorry, man. Um, you know, just to try and give everybody a lot more space to walk around and be able to get outside. Today was nice. It was probably about 74 today and sunny. So, I mean, I understand that there's a lot more people out walking and all of that just to get out of the house and not go stir crazy. So I can appreciate that, but we still need to be a little bit, you know, more thoughtful about how we, walk around as a group and all of that. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I sit down here. I haven't yawned all friggin' day. I get down here, all of a sudden I start yawning. Ridiculous. I apologize. That's annoying. Um, so, you know, I mean, I don't think it takes a lot to just have some, I don't know, common sense about some things. I mean, obviously, the social distancing has slowed the spread. I mean, it's just it's apparent. Um, what's crazy is how few are still heeding it, and some governors that are not in embracing it. I know here in Georgia, the governor doesn't want to issue a statewide, so it appears that a lot of counties and cities are doing it themselves to try and combat it as best they can. But which I get the position they're in, because if you do it statewide, then obviously there's counties that are less populated and more, not necessarily isolated, but I mean, the the residents aren't as transient as a lot of us are in and around the bigger cities. I mean, Atlanta, Savannah, those kind of places. I mean, it makes some sense to limit just because of the sheer volume. But I mean, if you're in like South Georgia or things like that, in areas that are a little bit more rural, and you just have a lower population, then maybe the efforts that we're having to go through aren't necessarily needs to be as stringent as other areas. So picked up remote batteries, huh? Hey, gotta get in the car, gotta get my remote batteries. That's funny. That is funny. Oh my God. Seriously, this is ridiculous. Holy smokes. I gotta stop yawning or I'm gonna just start slapping myself. Um, my God. But yeah, I mean, I was sitting here trying to think of topics to kind of talk about, and I don't know. I think we've kind of talked a lot of this out already, but I just thought maybe we'd, you know, do something a little different, or try and talk about anything. Obviously, if you start, having music playing, YouTube gets a little to buy plants. That's funny. Oh, last night? I mean, it really wasn't that much going on last night. It was a pretty quiet night, I thought. I mean, they only had a couple watches on. I mean, didn't seem to be that big of a deal. Yeah, no, the Magnums last night, like I say, like this one, it when it came out, it was, it's on a strap. So, but having the full version in bracelet with the graffiti on it is pretty impressive, I must say. Um, I would be interested in if they would do like a Gen 2 with the cabling on it. I know it kind of breaks it up a little bit, but because I've got that SAS with the black spinel on it, and I think having just something that kind of contrasts all of that graffiti actually brings more attention to it because it kind of breaks it up. I'd love to see a full blown. What department, Rick? I've done 2 or 3 stints at Home Depot. I did overnight garden recovery for a while. I was in flooring on the sales floor, and also was a cashier. So I kind of made my way around some of it. I preferred lumber over garden because people would come up and ask me, "What about this plant? What about that plant?" I'm like, they all are the same to me. I can kill them all just as easily as from one to the other. So I'm not very good at green thumb. My dad was a farmer. I did not inherit that capability in any sort of fashion. So I I know my limitations, and gardening is it. So, but it was it was I liked it. I mean, I've still got friends that every once in a while when we go back down to Roswell, um, because we moved and I worked at the store that was local to me there. There's still people that are working there that I go in and say hey to and everything. So it was a lot of fun. You know, it gets kind of crazy, but you know that's sort of half the fun is you kind of go home and talk about who you saw and what crazy question or thought or idea or somebody came up with, or somebody came and well, like went into tile and came up with a really unique design with couple different things, and you're like, oh, we're thinking about doing this in our kitchen. And be like, oh, that's a really good idea. um, so I mean it's a wide range of, but I mean I think that's true with anything in retail is you get everything under the sun. Hardware. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. Um, how long have you been there? You've been doing this a while? I never was in hardware. Um, I'm kind of glad because especially the nail aisle and the nut and bolt aisle. Oh my God, trying to keep all that, especially when it came to mass inventory, doing all that count. And, oh no, no, thank you. There's a whole lot of little teeny pieces and parts. I mean, flooring was bad enough, but my God, hardware's just got to be between that and maybe paint. I mean, there's just so many little teeny pieces, and you get into the specialty trays and all those little baggies and making all that count. Wow, cool, cool. But yeah, no props, man. That that's a lot of moving parts and pieces. Everything from hammers and rulers to drills to saws to Dremels to safety equipment to everything under the sun. That's a big no. Yeah, I mean, you've probably got your own set of inventory woes when you're doing in parts. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of little nuts and bolts and fasteners that you have to do counts on too. I'm sure. So it kind of is what it is. Everyone gets used to it. But I'm kind of glad I don't do that anymore. I pretty much work behind a keyboard, so it's easier, but then I feel like, I don't exercise as much. I don't get up as much as I should, which is why I wear this Fitbit, because every 10 minutes before the hour it buzzes telling me whether that I haven't gotten up and gotten my 250 steps in. But you know, all the different parts and pieces is what makes us go around. Rick, have you seen a big decline? I bet in lumber for sure, and probably in your department from all the contractors that have had to reduce their workload. So, oh, you have an outside company come in. Oh, yeah, I could see where it's nice to have an outside company come in until your numbers are off by a big enough margin that you have to go back through and do an actual hand count and count everything over again and figure out where the problem is. I mean, probably yours isn't as bad, Vic, because it's your own guys that are pretty much stocking your shelves. The problem, like at something like with Rick, is you get these customers, they'll pick up stuff and they'll walk around and they'll put it down over here and oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, because you can make the count whatever you want and no one can validate it. So yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, I know Home Depot customers, and I mean, they'll just pick up stuff, and I mean, you'll find. I mean, I used to find, like, especially back in flooring, you'd find rulers and all tape measures and everything, and they would just take it off the wall, walk over there and measure stuff, and then just leave it there. And so, you have this whole reclamation of, people just leaving stuff around. And then, of course, you got the returns carts, which are just hell on wheels because half the stuff isn't either labeled or I've actually seen where people at the front end will actually take back like tile that came from another store. Like literally, there was a floor and decor sticker on the back of like 5 pieces of tile, and they took it back. And I'm like, we don't even stock it. I mean, it's obvious it's not ours, but they people get up there and they carry on and go to town and go all crazy, and so it is what it is. But now I was watching Tony Woe, and he was talking about the times when he used to be an Uber driver and some of the things going on, and I was like, yeah, back in the day, in my younger days, when I was delivering for Domino's, and this was back in the 30-minute guarantee days, some of the things that we got away with, oh my God. Of course, so for those who never worked at a Domino's during that time frame, the way that the 30-minute guarantee worked is if it wasn't there in 30 minutes, between 30 and 40 minutes, you had to give them $3 off. If it was past 40 minutes, you had to give them the it's like 30 and 45, something like that. But there was a time frame you give $3 off, and then if you went too far, it was free, like free. And so what happened is at the end of the night, they would tag it on your board because you had these little strips, and that's how you kept track of how many pizzas and how much. And then your commission was based on the number of pizzas delivered. So starting at I think 35, you got a certain percentage, and then I want to say it's like 6% of the total of the gross of the cost. So let's say let's go a $10 pizza, right? If you got 40 of them, that's 400, right? So you would get 6% of that as your commission. Well, I think it was like at 35 you got six, at 40 was six and a half, all the way up to I think it was around 45 you could get 9%. Oh my God, like the shirts that you would wear, yeah, they would reek. I mean, you would on a rough night if you were in there for a long time. If you were delivering a lot, it wasn't that bad. Now your car, yeah, your car stunk all the time. Like I had to keep uh like the little air fresheners and all kinds of stuff in there. And wow, do they actually have people at the doors like doing like a count, or how do they maintain that, Rick? But anyway, so you got to 9%, and then if you delivered the most, like let's say you got 50 in a night, and you were or 52, whatever the number was. If you were the top driver for the night, you got an extra percentage, so that puts you at 10. So all that being said is if you delivered a pizza that was, let's say, they had to give it away for free, well, you would be allowed to count the delivery, but you would not be allowed to add up the total as the total number that your percentage was around. So you would lose that. I mean, and if it was an expensive pizza, let's say it was like a Supreme or a Deluxe or whatever, sorry, Supreme is Pizza Hut, Deluxe. Say it's like $15, you would lose that $15 off your total, and so that was 15 less that you would have to, on your commission. So I mean, that was, and to not get a late pizza was like paramount. Like the amount of reckless, I mean, I'll say it, just some reckless, stupid driving. Um, I've ran red lights, stop signs. I've done U-turns in the middle of the road. Uh, yeah, you name it. There probably wasn't too many things that we didn't do. We would drag race back to the store. So everyone, you kind of, especially when it got later in the evening, it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night and there's not as many people out. You kind of recognize everyone's cars of the rest of us that are all delivering. So the way the rule was is the first one back in the store got to pick of the deliveries that were ready to go out. You got to pick which one you wanted to take. And so you would look at where it was, how it was lined up, and then, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Usually, if I did that, it was probably, I did one at the university. So we were really close to Wake Forest University. So we actually delivered to them. And yeah, I was running across the quad and went to hit the stairs to go up and dropped it. And it literally flipped all the way over and then landed back on its bottom. And you could see where it heaved up and everything. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was like a pepperoni. I mean, it's a university. So they're not, they're spending about as cheap as you can get. But probably some of the funniest things were, I mean, so you've got a big old Domino's shirt on, right? And you got black pants or whatever it was, I can't remember. And you got a big old Domino's hat on, and you got a pizza in your hand. And I had an elderly woman that she would not take the chain off the door. So the door's like this wide. And I'm like, ma'am, I can't hand you the pizza. She's like, turn it sideways and hand it to me. I said, maybe it'll crush it. I don't care. I'm not opening this door. I don't know who you are. And I was like, okay, turn that thing sideways. And you could just hear it just, and just smush. And I handed it through the door. And as soon as I got in, boom, slammed the door. And I'm like, okay. There you go. I was just like, are you serious? I mean, but I mean, this is, oh my God, this is like 19. All right, let me get my dates right. 80, 84, 85. I mean, but it was just nutty. I mean, it was just absolutely nutty. I never thought I'd ever see the day that you do some of these things. But between that, yeah, that one was funny. You get the I've had the I was like, I don't know, 20. I was 23. I was a young guy, and you would get the women that would come to the door with just like a bathrobe on, and they couldn't quite keep the rope, the robe tied, and they'd ask you to come inside, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was just, or you'd go to, hotels, deliver to a room, and the guy would open the door, and he may have a pair of pants or something on, maybe not, and you see some some naked woman running into the bathroom or diving under the sheets, or you see the sheets moving, and you hear her giggling. It's like, I mean, just so funny. You open the door, and like the aroma of the amount of marijuana they were smoking was so bad, it would like just make your eyes water. Hey man, you want some? You want some? No, I'm good. I mean, offered beer, alcohol. I mean, hey, have a shot with us. Have a shot with us. Yeah, I'm driving, man. I mean, but just, I mean, it is just so funny to just see some of the things that people would do, and just like, it was generally those that you saw were ones that you would probably rather not see. I'll just leave it at that. Um, but just, I mean, just some crazy stuff. But I mean, probably the craziest thing was, and I had, so get this, I was delivering pizzas in a 1984 Ford Thunderbird turbo coupe with the 2.3-liter turbo in it. And I mean, that was a big old car. But the best thing I loved about that car is it had the keyless entry on the door. And so I could literally leave the car running, shut the door, lock it, shut the door, run inside, and I'd never, and I wouldn't have to worry because you couldn't get in, if you didn't know the code. And I mean, I'd go to the college, and there'd be these guys trying to get in my car, and I'm like, dude, just stop, man. You're not going to get in. They'd be, oh, like they didn't see me coming back or something. Like, y'all are just crazy. But I mean, yeah, you'd you know. But like, I remember probably my second, probably I went through a set of brakes in 12,000 miles. Like, you're driving your car so hard. Uh, I was changing my oil every month to 45 days. I mean, you were putting so many miles on it. So, I mean, the downside of that is either you get a car that is inexpensive to keep running, or a good quality car, and you pay for, the amount of maintenance it's going to take to keep the car running. So it kind of six of one, half dozen the other. But yeah, I mean, I was going through 2 tanks of gas every week, and just burning through brakes, and I mean, just a lot of hard driving in it. But on the other side, hey Smitten, um, on the other side, it was, in those days, so much fun. There was just so much fun about it. We all knew each other. We would on our days off, we would hang out and stuff, and um, we'd go to like pool parties and different things. So I mean, it was a lot of fun. Just some of the things that we did together was just hanging out and everything. So it was a lot of fun. Um, I remember probably my fondest things is one, loved making pizza, loved running the oven. So we had the big yep, and that's where Smitten and I met. Um, that was probably the biggest reason why I still have fond memories of Domino's. Um, we had the big old blodgents, so like the old school, not the conveyor system, but literally, you got to go in there with the turner and you spin them and everything, and pop the bubbles and do all of that. And it was just hot as blue blazes. And this is in North Carolina, so in the summer, you would run all night long with like the doors open because it was just so hot. But I mean, it was just a lot of fun, and you know, I mean, it was so much easier back then because you ordered two things: pizza and Coke, and then we had a big cooler, and like the day shift would do a lot of prep work for the night shift because our nights were the busy ones. So, and you would have a whole bunch of like you had them cordoned off. So you had singles, and then you remember the old six packs. So you would slice twos, and so you'd have twos, and then you'd have fours, and then full sixes, and that's how you would when you came in. You'd look at the order, and you would just grab them like that, and it was so much faster. And you had a big map on the wall, it had a big outline of our area, and I never used silly pickup lines. All right, calling me out. Okay. All I know is it worked, right? It worked. So, but yeah. So Christy Smitten, sorry. Um, I'm sure everyone here knows it's Christy. Um, so she worked at another store in town when I first started, um, at the store I was at, and so she, wow, no, 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 nothing like that. Oh God, no, no, no. Um, So she worked at another store, and she, drove for a while, and then she went inside the house and was becoming a manager. And there was like levels of management, and I can't remember them. What was it? Like manager, something in training. Oh my God. It was like 1 through 4 or something like that. I can't remember the numbers. And there were like qualifications of you had to make you had to be able to make a large pepperoni. MIT, thank you, manager and training. You had I think MIT one, you had to make a large pepperoni pizza in 60 seconds from the time you grabbed the dough until it was in the oven, and it had to come out scored at least a 7, which has to do with cheese, if your edges were clean, if your pepperoni was appropriate, you had enough, and all of that stuff. Oh my God, no, Jesus. And so, anyway, so she was at her store, and yeah, distribution. You had to get your pepperoni distribution right, and then get it in the oven, and then you had to monitor it, and if it had too many bubbles and all this kind of crap. Anyway, So that was MIT 1. And then I think 2, 3, and whatever was you had to make them faster. I forget. I think the fastest was what? I think 30 seconds. You had to be able to do it. Right? Is were those your lines for Janet there, Vic? You were pulling out, the Mr. Rique Suave right there. So anyway, I had, and I don't know how I got this reputation, but apparently I was known as being a slightly aggressive driver when I delivered. And so there was a program that were called ride alongs. Yeah, I'll get to that part. So the the store manager and I became really good friends really fast, and I worked always at night. So I worked from like Tuesday through Sunday night, but I always worked at night. I came in at 5, and just running pizza all the time. And so we became really good friends, and I was able to establish a level of, let's see, not laziness, but I was allowed latitude when it came to how much of like the busy work that I had to do. So when it came to prepping stuff and doing all of that, I always did. Yes. So I got to count out the tills at night and close out the books while everyone else was cleaning. So, you know, I you know, I I was lazy. I was efficient in my efforts. Anyway, so there's a program where a manager or assistant manager or whatever, you would do a ride along with a driver and evaluate their delivery, like, how careful they are with the pizza. They make sure they put it in the bag. Are they courteous in their driving? Are they saying all the right things when it gets to the door? All this sort of stuff. I forget the term, but it was just basically called a ride. I call it a ride along. Well, after shortly, not too long after I got there, I had one or two, and my boss is like, I was, what? I couldn't hear you. I was no longer required to have ride-alongs because nobody wanted to ride with me. Well, that's fine. But what would happen is so it was kind of like a hazing. So if someone came from another store and they were going to work there, um, the idea was they he uh, he would tell them, the store manager would tell them that they need to do a ride along with me. Well, and he would tell me, he said, just drive them hard, and I'm like, all right, because I'm like, I'm not going to get into trouble because they're going to tell it to him and it's going to go nowhere. So anyway, so oh, Trap is live. Oh, okay. Well, I'm being outdone by Trap, but anyway, let me. I'll finish this one story up. So anyway, so Christy comes over to our store and she transfers over, and we weren't there. She wasn't there too long, and I want to say his name was Doug. Doug's like, "Hey, you need to do a ride along with John." So she gets in the car, and there was this. We were on a little side road. You go to the end of it, you make a right, and you're on like a 2-lane divided like highway, and then the next intersection was the other road going. So you got 2 lanes going this way and 3 lanes going this way. So I make the turn and I get going, and I see that the light is starting to turn yellow. So I slam on the gas. I'm like, I'm hauling. So I go to make the left hand turn. So I slide all the way. I pointed the nose at the farthest inside left lane and just slid all the way to the right lane and then got going. Well, I wasn't thinking much of it. I look over and there's this look of, and no sound is coming out. Like she's gripping the dashboards and no sound is coming out. And I was like, oh, all right, we won't do that one again. that was the she got back and we got back. I delivered the pizza and we got back and my boss was waiting. Like he knew it was gonna be bad. He's waiting. As soon as we walked in, he's like rolling on the floor laughing. He's just like dying. He's like, "How'd it go?" I said, "We got there back in time, so it went fine." And so it was quite quite the adventure. You know what? Let me see. Let me see if Trap wants to join mine. See if I can get him. But yeah, love at first sight. And that's what it was. Not really. I don't think she was that infatuated with me at first. And the little driving stint definitely did not bode well. So I had to wear her down. So but no, it's all good. We're here now. And I don't see Trap. Well, we'll close this one out since it's just the three of us here, and I'll go over and I'm going to jump onto Traps. So I did get a little bit of my domino stories out. So maybe next time we'll cover a few more. Maybe we'll do uh, I'll bring Smitten on camera and we'll kind of talk about some of the dominoes days. But other than that, I will shut this thing down and I'm going to head over to Trap's live show. All right. Yeah, I will see y'all there. Bye.